Okay, so we will move forward with the public session of our meeting.
Mayor, I'd like to ask if we could amend the agenda, if we can move B from number 6, new business, if we can move it up to now, before we do financials and going to unfinished business.
Okay, so can I get a motion to move the interim agreement discussion up to the first item of business?
So moved.
I get a second? Got a second, any discussion? All in favor of moving the interim agreement vote to the first order of business, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. Okay, so first
Make a
order,
motion to approve the interim agreement. Second.
any discussion? All in favor of approving the interim agreement, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay.
Thank you very much, Council, appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to move forward with the interim agreement. So next on the agenda is the approval of the council meeting minutes of July 12, 2022. Get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approval of minutes, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, so the minutes from July 12, 2022 are approved. Next is the approval of financial statements and financial report for July 2022. I get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approval of financial statements and financial report for July 2022, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. Okay, so next we're going to move on to unfinished business. We need to vote on a special exception permit for 269 Pine Street, which we discussed in our meeting last Tuesday. We just couldn't vote on it. No one from the public showed up for the public meeting to dispute, so.
Motion to. Is it an Airbnb?
Yes, that was. So I got a first,
Second.
got a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the special exemption permit for 269 Pine Street, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. Okay, so special exemption permit is approved. Next board.
Can I ask a question to the council? Brad? Sir. You know, these are coming up all the time, these special, is there a point where we change our code or?
Part of the issue you've got with these special exception permits, these are in R1 zones, and unless you start having, now I think we have it within our R1 zone, for an Airbnb is only with a special exception permit. So you've got, that's all waiting there.
You got to leave the neighbors.
It's an R1, yes, an R1 is a single family residence, period.
You saying, can you change the code?
I'm just curious. I mean,
You change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can absolutely do it, but you'd have to send everybody in
I'm
town.
not saying I want to do it, I'm just curious, because these just keep coming up and keep coming up, and I mean, sooner or later, one of these Airbnbs is gonna turn into a weekend honky-tonk.
Well, and it's part of the reason why you have a special exception, but they're only good for a year.
Okay.
And that way you can, planning commission and with the manager can revoke those permits. If
Okay.
there's a violation, that's the whole point of having a special exception permit.
I only say that, I don't mean that like negatively, like Glenn and I actually, when we go on a fishing trip in New York, certainly we don't do a honky-tonk. But they actually removed the permit for the house we used to rent because of that.
Right,
The
that's
neighbors,
the whole-
the neighbors
that's the whole-
complained.
That's the whole point of it, if you're gonna allow one in an R1 zone.
We went to bed like 8 o'clock.
If that answers your question, that's why it's not.
You should never bite when you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
there's
remember,
something.
you went through that specifically with regard to the Hart place out to the Watts farm, that was the first one.
Okay.
And you had to go through there and do an amendment to allow that to work.
Okay.
And we have the public hearing if anybody wants to voice their concern.
Correct, that's why you got that each time it comes up, if anybody wants to complain about it before the permit's issued.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, I mean, people are coming to our town, they're not using lodging, I get
Oh,
it.
they're always awful.
Yeah.
Talk to Amanda, she has no breaks. You know, they're always.
In the coffee shop, like there's motorcycles out there at 6 in the morning on Sunday morning, parked in front of the coffee shops, and they're staying upstairs there.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So far.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
We good to move?
Yes, thank you.
So next, as our new business section, we're going to have Miss Leanne Reagan talk to us about some budget amendments that she's looking for.
Again.
Again.
Okay, so one of the things that we have tried to do for our audit is to keep everyone in line with their budget. August the 15th, which was yesterday, is the last date that anything can be done to our FY22 budget. So this is to last year's budget, not the one that we're in right now. And all it is doing is just keeping everybody in line so we get the,
Still some pay Paul.
yeah, pretty
All
much.
we're doing is just moving money around.
I mean, it's all money that you had in your budget anyway. It's just one department's helping the other a little. And it's just so we get the gold star from the auditor on that one.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendments.
Second. So, any discussion? All in favor of approval of the budget amendments for FY 2022, stay so by saying aye.
I'm gonna let you have it.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
So next is the policy for electronic participation by council members.
We'll let Brad have that.
In 2021, the General Assembly enacted some new provisions to FOIA in dealing with participation, a number of things. One of them was dealing with the situation we had happen last week, but participation electronically by members who are not present. And in order to make that happen, the council has to actually adopt a policy in dealing with members who make the request, say, I can't be there, and for whatever reason. Well, there's code provides for, under the Freedom of Information Act, 4 criteria that members, like last week, when you had a situation with a medical issue, that's one of the criteria that can have you excused from a meeting where you can then appear by phone or otherwise, electronically. Personal reasons actually applies. Family members having illness. If for some reason there's an odd duck in there about if your principal residence is more than 60 miles away, I'm not sure how that really would apply in a situation with this council because you're required to live in town to be a member of the council, but anyway, that's what the code provides for. But in order to make that work so you can avoid problems where you don't have a quorum like we had last week, you have a policy that I had before you, it's roughly about 2 pages long. It's straight out of the code with some modifications that fit workings for this council that once adopted will allow you as council members at least 2 personal absences from council, or you can call in and be a part of the meeting and still be effective for voting and still have a quorum even though you're not here, which can be very important at times.
It will count for
But you had
Yes,
Not toward it. Oh, it will count.
yes.
Because I thought last week we said it would.
But for it to work, still you're able to vote. You still, well, I'm sorry, I don't misunderstand what I'm saying. The physical presence of a quorum still has to be there to have the meeting.
Okay.
So that wouldn't have helped last week at all. But for purposes of voting, particularly if you have something where you have, if it's, 3 to 3 or 3 to 2, and somebody, if they're there, they could obviously vote. If they're not there, they could still vote, even though they're not counted for the purpose of a quorum, they can still vote and participate in the regular construct of the meeting.
Now, the governor's order, a year and a half, 2 years ago, would allow you to.
Right.
But not now. They're gone.
And there's a provision I've also put in there for that policy about virtual meetings, and as Todd was alluding to, there are 2 circumstances, either a governor declared emergency or a town emergency can also allow for virtual meetings where you can meet off-site and still have a quorum and not have to have a physical quorum present, but those are very rare, and the last 2 years ago wasn't one of those rare circumstances.
Yes.
But I've got a resolution in front of you and in the attached policy that will take effect on the passage of the resolution. So if somebody can make a motion to adopt the resolution and have the mayor read it, it'll take care of it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
But we need to read it, then vote on it.
Yeah, if you would, it has to have a recorded vote. The statute, one thing I will say is too, it talks about it, it's got to be strictly complied with, and that's part of the policy, so evidently there've been some complaints across the state, that's what led us to
That's right. It'll go on.
It's a short resolution.
Okay, so Councilmember Brown introduced the following resolution, which was read for the first time on August 16th, 2022. Whereas public bodies are encouraged to, one, provide public access both in person and through electronic communication means to public meetings, and two, provide avenues for public comment at public meetings when public comment is customarily received, which may include public comments made in person or by electronic communication means or other methods. And whereas the Virginia General Assembly has established criteria by which individual members of the public body may use remote participation instead of attending a public meeting in person if, in advance of a public meeting, the public body has adopted a policy which sets forth the protocol governing remote participation in such meetings. And whereas the council for the town of Tazewell finds it prudent and necessary to adopt such a policy to ensure the uninterrupted and regular conduct of its council meetings in order to conduct and to attend to the ongoing business of the operation of the town government. Therefore be it resolved by the council of the town of Tazewell, Virginia, that the town council hereby adopts the attached virtual meeting and remote participation policy regarding its holdings of public meetings of the town council and its attendance by its individual council members in accord with the provisions of Virginia Code 2.2-3700 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended. This resolution was seconded by Councilmember Catron. So a vote being called on the resolution, so we're going to do roll call for approval. Councilmember Beasley.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Catron. Councilmember Fox. So what do we do with the two who are absent? Do we need to?
You're just better not present.
Okay. And so we have passage with two council members not present.
It's a resolution.
So the resolution has passed. Okay, so next, law changes effective July 1st.
Did you have that up there? Leanne, did you get that too?
No.
Not seeing anything.
Well, you gotta have it, there should be, I'm sorry guys, I thought that was my mistake for falling down on this one. What it is, every July 1st, with 18.2 and 46.2, the General Assembly basically has amendments that the town readopts under its code 16.16-2 to readopt any changes that the General Assembly made to both of those titles. Give me a second.
Just for that. It allows the police department to do their
I
job.
said, we can't create a body that's doing.
It's in the code.
Basically just need a motion to adopt any changes that were enacted by the General Assembly in the 2022 session for purposes of reaffirming the town's enforcement of any changes in 18.2 and 46.2.
Expect me to remember all that.
No, I just
Just
said.
need to make a motion.
You had that motion?
I motion to.
I'll second that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the information Brad just provided, let's say so by saying aye.
I get a copy of it?
All opposed, say so by saying nay. No.
You should have, each year, we normally have a printed adoption for you. It's my fault for not getting that to you. Where you go through and literally, and Leon will stick it in the minutes to show, in the event that anything comes up with our officers, that they got to where we readopted, the council has readopted anything that was recent in 1842.
I think we're good.
You get those and you store it, but I forgot to put it on.
Oh, yes. So one last item of business that didn't make the agenda is we have a board member recommendation for Historic Review Board, Mr. Chris Wilkes. He works up at the library. So I need a motion to add him to the Historic Review Board.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor of adding Chris Wilkes to the Historic Review Board, say so by saying aye. All opposed, say so by saying nay. All right.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adjournment, stay so by saying aye. All opposed, stay so by saying nay.